And welcome to our second in the series of how to create perfect fitting clothes. My name is Sarah and I'm from Sewing Retreat. We're an organic, ethical sewing shop which is all online, and we also have our own online pattern cutting courses as well. And then we have the lovely Victoria.
Hello. So I'm a garment technologist and also creative director of Unhidden Clothing and running an online course called The Perfect Fit.
So today we're going to be looking at how to alter your tops and shirts that don't fit to your shape and size. So we're going to be using a few examples to show you as well, so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And there's just a few things you need to bear in mind as well when you're altering your clothes. The first is the look of the clothes that you're actually trying to alter. So if it's a fitted item such as this, then you want the shoulder seam to be on the shoulder. And if it's an oversized top, then you obviously don't necessarily want the seams to be on the exact shoulder seam line.
You also need to keep in mind like how you want it to feel, not just how you want it to look. So if it's oversized, you need to make sure that the seams are all sitting in the correct place so that you actually do have freedom of movement. And if it's fitted, you want to make sure that it's not so fitted you can't breathe or move comfortably or sit down.
And then the other thing you need to bear in mind as well is if you are adding in extra bits to the items of clothing that you're altering, you need to make sure the fabric behaves in the same way. So if, for example, you've got a stretch fabric like I've got on now, you don't want to add in woven fabric because it won't stretch when you're putting it on. And the opposite is true as well for woven fabrics. If you've got a silk, you want a fabric that's a similar weight and doesn't have stretch as the silk that you're using. And then the same with like a heavy wool as well. You want to make sure if you're creating any alterations to a coat, then it has the same feel to the fabric and the same reactions to it as well. Otherwise, it'll twist in weird ways, it'll pull, and the weight of it just won't work, and you'll actually make it worse, not better. So we're now going to run through a few example tops to show you exactly what we mean and how to know when it doesn't fit and what to do to alter it.
So we're going to start with the top that I'm wearing, which is a jersey top, but it's quite a heavyweight jersey. So the problem with this is that the shoulders are sitting, as you can see, quite far off my shoulder. So this is very wide, and you can see this dragging here, and it means that any kind of movement, it tends to sort of hop over to one side and it won't stay where it needs to stay. Now, there are different ways of fixing this, but the easiest and the quickest way, and actually maybe what you won't notice when you look at it from the front, is that the problem is coming from the back neck width. Now, last week we showed you how to measure your across shoulder from here to here, which is the point you want the seam to actually sit from. And you can see the seams are sitting quite far off my shoulders. So you can reduce the back neck width, which will immediately bring these in to sit where they want, but you don't want to take as much as I'm pinning there. But if you hold that, you will see then from the front that it on this side that it is now sitting where it should. Another way of also fixing this is by shortening the shoulder seam as well as the back neck, because if you take it all from the back neck and all from the shoulder, you're going to end up with it pulling in a different way and making this V-neck sort of gape. And when you do take it in and you bring the shoulder onto here, what you also need to bear in mind is whatever you take off the shoulder seam, you need to add onto the sleeve head so that you've then still got that room over here, because otherwise you're going to find problems with tightness across here. And as you can see, there's dragging starts to happen here from it being too short in the sleeve head height.
So that's a case where you might add in extra fabric at the top of the sleeve head.
Yeah.
Behaves in a similar way.
Yeah, if you've already cut the fabric, the problem you're going to have is that you can't put a dart into the back of the top. So this is where you'd need to twirl it first. If it's from a finished garment, then the only way you could fix it is by opening up the sleeve and shortening the shoulder. But if you are able to change it from the pattern, you would take it from the back neck width.
So the second top we're going to show you is my shirt that I'm wearing at the moment. So I have the problem that most clothing, the arms aren't long enough for me because I have really long arms. So you can see the cuffs come really high up when they're meant to come here. But even when I stand up, the cuffs are too short. So to be able to fix this, you'll need to know the length from the cuff here all the way up to the sleeve head, which we showed you last week. And then you can measure the seam on the top. So you'd measure from the sleeve head to the end of the cuff, and then you can work out the difference of that. And then you can add in a section. So I'd probably add in a section maybe here or maybe here to make it a feature, but don't add it at the top or the bottom because it'll be really difficult to do, and it'll alter how the cuffs fit and how the sleeve head fits as well. So you want to add it somewhere in the middle of the sleeve, and then do the same the other side as well so they're matching.
So this is another jersey top from me, and there are a few different things wrong with it. So I quite often struggle with my shoulders because I'm a bit broader than most tops anyway, but then I go narrow. So I often have to buy a size up. But similar to the previous jersey, you can see here that the shoulder again on me isn't really sitting on my shoulder, it's actually off. But this problem is actually really caused by the fact that the armhole drop is really quite high. So if this was dropped lower, I wouldn't be having any of these issues that you can see pulling everywhere. And again, you could reduce the back neck width. The other problem that you can see is that because they put a false pocket here, that it's dragging and pulling from all these points. So you have to be really mindful if you're going to have a detail or a pocket that the garment is sitting completely flat, and you've just got to be so careful when you attach it that you're not going to affect the measurements, because that can pull everything out of shape. And another thing to really pay attention to, especially with jersey, especially with anything with a marl sort of slub print, is spiraling. So I will show you. So you can see that it's coming towards the front on this side, and it's going towards the back on this side. Now, there is tolerance levels for this, and it is really common, but the easiest way to make sure that doesn't happen is to relax the fabric for at least 24 hours before you cut it. It also helps to steam it with an iron beforehand and even wash it, because that's going to make the fabric sit exactly as it always will. Otherwise, you'll always have to iron it to stop that spiraling from happening.
Okay, so the third top is the top I'm wearing at the moment, which is meant to go with a black sort of pencil evening skirt. And the main issue is the height issue for it. So you can see here it's dragging with these lines here. And generally when you get these lines, then it means something's not fitting right. And because I have a longer torso, it's really pulling here. So I can feel like really stretched into this, and it's squashing me here as well, where it, as if it had another sort of centimetre or so in the top here, in the top of the shoulders, then it would fit a lot better and you wouldn't get those drag lines. If you are short yourself, then you might find you've got excess fabric here, which may not mean you need to do any bust adjustments on it, but in actual fact, you need to take it in at the shoulders. And the way to work out how much you need to add is to measure from here up to here, on the top when it's not on you, so you can tell what it is without it being stretched, and then measure your height as well, and then measure the difference between those two measurements to work out how much to add in these shoulder seams. And then just remember to do fabric that behaves in a similar way. So I'd probably add in a black piece in here just to imitate the black around here, so it looks like it's meant to be.
This shirt, we're just going to talk about really briefly. It's when you'll be able to measure this on yourself, but this is called the break point. And this is when you're doing a V-neck or when you're putting a button on, this is the point at which you want that sort of closure to start. But on this shirt, it's actually sitting too high. It should normally sit exactly between your nipples, essentially. So it needs to be in the middle, and this is a little bit too high for that, which just means that when I pull my arm out, all the tension is sitting a bit higher than it should, and it's not got the room through the body. So it's just something to be really careful of when you're marking button placement or poppers or a zip, that it starts from the correct point.
Thank you so much for watching our second in our series of how to create perfect fitting clothes. If you do need to know how to take any measurements properly to be able to alter your tops and shirts, then watch our first video. I'll put the link below so you can just click on that and go back to our first video as well. And next week we'll be looking at how to alter trousers and skirts to be able to fit your shape and size as well. So if you've got any questions on that, then put a comment below, or you can send us a DM on Instagram. We're more than happy to answer your questions, as we want these videos to really help you. So just let us know if you've got any questions on tops and shirts or trousers and skirts. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for watching.